Welcome back to All Things Baltimore. Lee Michaels here with our next guest. This young man made quite an impression on me once I was introduced to him. His name is Dominique Brightmon. I got that last name together. Dominique, how are you today?
Doing great. Great to be on the show with you.
Well, listen, it's great not only to have you on the show, but also to meet you because I've heard so much about what you've been able to accomplish with your own personal passion as an author. Now, this young man has authored not one, not two, but how many books?
Well, there's 3 on the waiting, but 2 right now.
2 right now. The third one's in the works, huh?
Yeah, it's in the works.
And the thing that's so interesting about not only completing his books, but he's a bestseller on Amazon's top seller list. Now, how did that come about?
Yes, sir. So basically how that all came about was the fact that I built up a massive amount of network of people just through Toastmasters, through church, work, and all these other places. And I basically just helped them out, and they just saw me as a good human being and just helping out people. Just basically being a cheerful, helpful spirit, and then just reciprocity just came back to me. I just asked them, like, hey, could you endorse this book? Like, yeah, sure. Let me see a draft, and then just asking people. And a lot of people just obliged and actually bought copies of the book on Amazon as a digital book, even bought the physical book after it released.
Wow.
And it was
so
just
you're
amazing
smiling, right? Because of all of the sales.
Yeah, and it's just an amazing thing. It's like all the work is actually paying off.
That's great. Now, let's show the book to everybody. It's called Stay the Course. Tell us about Stay the Course.
Yes, Stay the Course, the Elite Performer's 7 Secret Keys to Sustainable Success. So it's a nice, short, quick read that helps you get the mindset to win in any field of life where you're in. Because elite performers are aware of themselves and everything around them. They're aware of themselves in many different ways, like mental awareness, being aware of your mindset, the influence awareness, who's in your circle. Then there's time awareness. There's 168 hours in a week, 7 days a week. We have to be aware of our time. And then, of course, the connection awareness. Who are we connecting to? Like both me and you connecting today, it's a wonderful thing. And then, of course, the H, which is habit awareness, being aware of the habits in your arsenal. Do you have million-dollar habits, or do you have debt-building habits?
Ooh. Now, listen, if you don't mind me saying so, you seem to have a wealth of wisdom for such a relatively young age.
Yeah.
Now, how did you get all this wisdom?
A lot of it is just using these 2 ears, to be honest.
Listening.
Yeah, listening is one of the biggest things, and also reading as well. I try to read at least 50 books a year from many different areas.
Did you say 50?
Yes, at least 50 books a year.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Where are you at so far this year? How many?
So far, I'm about 30 in so far.
Okay.
Yes.
Are you pacing well?
Pacing well so far, so good. After publishing, that was surprisingly still pacing pretty well with it.
So what would you say to, I mean, well, first off, let me back up and ask this question. I've got to ask this question. What made you entertain doing a book?
What entertained me writing the book was the fact that in a lot of my reading, there's this activity where you write your personal obituary. And in that obituary, I mentioned that I was going to be an author and a best-selling author. And that happened today because a woman dared me to write a book. I was handing out these business cards. And
what?
Yeah. And she dared me to write a book, and then she told me, like, hey, let's do it a year from now. Of course, at first, I didn't accept the challenge, but I went into some deep meditation and thought, you know what, let me go ahead and do it. And after publishing my first book after 10 months called Going North, then I followed up with this book about 3 years later. So it was just the fact of just taking that action and realizing that a lot of folks are doing wonderful things. Why can't I contribute to that?
So why can't I do them?
Exactly.
So now the thing that's so fantastic about this young man is not only has he realized his dream in doing a book and it's become an Amazon bestseller, but he also has an accompanying podcast, right?
Yes, sir.
Tell us about the podcast.
Yes, it's called the Going North Podcast, Tips and Techniques to Advance Yourself. It's based off of my first book, which mentions a bunch of other books I've read, and I recommend other folks to read. Every Monday and Thursday, a different author comes on, and they talk about their books, and they just get comfortable being interviewed. And I do it as a service, especially for first-time authors, because when you publish a book and self-publish it, you have no idea what's going on or what to do after that. So it's a way to get folks more options to actually get their voices heard and get their voices out there and let them know. Yeah.
That's great. So you say you recommend books.
Yes.
Recommend a book to me.
Recommend the book would be called Leading on Empty by Wayne Caddario.
Woo.
Yeah, Leading on Empty, because one thing with this book that delayed it, it was supposed to be published October 2018, but I lost my father and I gained all this weight from all this grief that I wasn't aware of. And this book goes into deeper about especially pastors where they lead, and they lead so much that they forget about self-care and self-awareness. and
That's
it just
good.
prevents them from breaking down in the
I'm going to have to
pulpit.
get a copy of it. You're going to bless me with a copy of that book?
Why not? Sure.
All right, I love it. I love it. So, do you have a website?
Yes, check me out on dombrightmon.vip. That's right, dombrightmon.vip. Yes, that's a domain name.
And your podcast, how often do you post your podcast?
Twice a week, and new interview uploads every Monday and Thursday morning. Currently, there's 169 episodes.
How does one connect with your podcast?
Yes, you can go on YouTube, you can go on my website, you can go on iTunes, wherever you hear a podcast, and just type in Going North Podcast, Google it, and you'll be able to find it.
Type in what?
Going North Podcast.
Going North.
Yes, sir.
Man, I love it. Well, Dominique, how old are you, man?
27.
That is fantastic. Man, I got to give you some love, man.
Thanks.
27 years old, and you seem like you've got your head on straight, and you've got your sights set on fulfilling your purpose. And what encouragement would you give to someone else? You've tapped in,
Yeah.
but someone else may be where you were.
Right.
What encouragement would you give them to pursue their dream and embrace a sense of purpose in their life?
I'd have to say, give meditation a chance. Give yourself at least a good 5 minutes every morning as soon as you wake up to actually give yourself some silence if you can. And look within yourself and encourage someone else. Try to encourage at least 5 random people a day. We got 5 fingers on our hands.
Wow.
For each finger, think of it as a person I can encourage. Compliment them on like, hey, they got some nice sunglasses, a nice dress, or just some kind word, because we all need that one kind word because we may not have heard anything good all week.
Man, I like that.
Yes.
Make it your business to encourage at least 5 people a day.
Yep.
And encouragement can come just with a smile or a kind word.
Yep.
I get it, man. I love it. I love it. Well, listen, man, I pray that you will have maintain continued success in your endeavors. The next book, we will have to get you back for the next one. And, of course, once again, if folk want to get a hold of you, how can they reach you?
Yes, feel free to reach me out at dombrightmon.vip, and you can shoot me an email at dom@dombrightmon.com as well.
All right, we'll be back with our next guest, and KCell is on the horizon on All Things Baltimore.